Well, first of all, let me say Better Family Life has evolved to a multi-pronged community development corporation that does a lot of servicing to the African American community as well as the St. Louis metropolitan community. That includes all ethnicities, but primarily our focus has been on the African American community. And we service about 35 to 50,000 unduplicated uh, uh, people in the metropolitan area with programs such as the workforce investment development, where we are the largest providers of TANF relief. TANF is temporary aid to needy families. The program that replaced the welfare system is now the welfare to work. And so Better Family Life, of the 7 to 8, it falters. And then on top of that, then you have institutional racism. You have systemic racism that limit the capabilities of African Americans to aspire for jobs and aspire to own resources such as institutions like Better Family Life, Cultural Education and Business Center. And so you don't get the same kind of support. African American organizations don't get the same kind of support that white organizations. And some say, well, maybe they shouldn't, because it should be the African American community that supports its own organization. I subscribe to that point of view, so I don't have no problems with that. But on the other hand, we pay a huge amount of taxes. We buy products, we support businesses, and they have an obligation to put some of that money back into the community. If they don't, then maybe we should stop buying their products.
That makes a statement.
Yes.
And people will pay attention when you hit them in the pocket.
Exactly.
I mean, they stop everything.
Exactly.
And pay attention.
Exactly. So we're not asking for no handout. We're asking for equity to be distributed throughout the community so that the African American gets its fair share. The African American community ought to get its fair share of resources, governmental, corporate, philanthropic. We should get our fair share of resources. Some people who have had power because we have not made a strong enough demand for those resources have said, well, we can put those resources up places and build those communities up so that we can maintain political control, we can maintain economic control. Well, it's time for us to reverse that formula and make sure that the African American community gets its fair share of resources.
And if you're saying, if you don't want to come to us, we'll take care of us ourselves.
We have
Just make the resources available in a fair way, and we got it. We'll take it from here. That's what you're saying.
Yes, we have to do that.
Yeah.
And we owe that to our young people. We owe that to the unborn generations, that we are capable as men and women, as healthy men and women, to provide for ourselves, to build for ourselves, to do for ourselves. But at the same time, we should have links to other communities that understand what we are doing and how it would benefit society if we were helped in a very meaningful way.
Where did we stop progressing forward? When did that happen?
I think it happened probably when all of the nice rewards of this society opened up to the African American leadership.
Really?
I think that, by and large, African Americans had traditions of communal sharing and working together as a community to look out for itself, to plan for itself, to develop for itself. And, when integration started, being accepted as the norm that society needed to move in the direction of, some people integrated and never came back. They're just out there, and they're living in la-la land, while, again, the masses are suffering. Leadership is always important. Every community needs to have its brightest mind bullish about its community's future development. Unfortunately, our brightest minds have been more concerned about how big their houses are, what specialized schools their children go to, who their children are marrying, and all of these things, which is all good. So you don't want to downplay it to the extent that you shouldn't aspire for those things. But you should be rooted in your community. You should be rooted in your church that you have grown up with. You should be rooted in the social organizations, in the political organizations that have moved the needle forward for our people. We should not abandon that.
Yeah.
A lot of times, as African Americans, we abandon those things that have gotten us across. We have even abandoned the leadership that have gotten us to new levels. The civil rights movement produced some of the most talented leaders, most committed leaders that our history have ever seen. And then you get some of these conservative people thinking and talking about we don't need those kinds of leaders anymore. As long as the problems of institutional racism is present, we need leaders that will be forthright and can speak truth to power and not be so apologetic because of the little things that they may lose in the process.
I like that you brought that up because my next question was going to be from one CEO to another. What do you advise our leaders to do so that we're not being left behind or being left out?
First of all, feel the pain that the community is experiencing. Feel every aspect of that pain. Be able to identify with it. Even if you can't do anything about it, at least be able to identify with it. And maybe by chance, something good can come out of your involvement in trying to alleviate it. I think that's primary, is the empathy that we've got to get back in touch with. We got to get back in touch with our culture. You know, African American culture have led us through the enslavement period, Jim Crow, second-class citizenship, terrorism that was inflicted on us, and we need to reaffirm the values and the principles of that culture, the sharing, the caring, the faith in God, the faith in the people, and working for the common good. I think it's just basic things that we just have to get back into. We have to accept that we are a beautiful people.
Yes.
We are a beautiful African people. We don't need to be anybody else.
Yes.
We have a beautiful history of just great accomplishments, both here in America, in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Central and South America. When we embrace our history and understand its nexus to world civilization, its nexus to being contributors to everything that has happened in this world, and that we begin to reaffirm that, our young people will come up with new attitudes. Our young people will come up with this feeling of, I am somebody, I'm somebody to be respected, that life does not have to end for me at 18 and 19 years old, that I have a great future at hand. African American able-minded people, African American scholars and intellects, African Americans who are bus drivers and electricians and nurses and doctors and lawyers and teachers have got to push that again, so that that connection with people who are disenfranchised is made and they help pull that person up.
Yeah, connecting with the issues. I think that's a pretty profound statement. In order to lead, you have to know who you're leading, where they're coming from, and what they're going through.
Yeah.
So in your role, how have you connected? Because, I mean, it's not like you grew up comfortable with no struggle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand
Yes.
where we're coming from, where
Yes.
they're coming, he, she.